Hello my lovelies, this is the Moon Gypsy, and today I have my old lady glasses on because I'm going to do a book review for you, and without them I can't see what I'm trying to tell you. So, the book review that I'm going to do today is on Old Style Conjure. This is the book. It's on hoodoo and root work and folk magic, and the author of it is Starr Casas, or Casas, I'm not particularly sure how to say her last name. Let me just tell you before I even start, fantastic book. You're going to want to read this. If you ever were interested at all, curious to what conjure is, if you're new to conjure, all the questions you could ever have are answered in there. If you've been doing conjure for 100 years, there's always a refresher in here for you. So let me just start a little bit and tell you. I took some notes so that way I don't forget to tell you any of the deliciousness in this book. So the book starts out and they tell the history and the foundation of conjure. One of the parts in that I loved was where they talked about the spirituals. When the slaves went to church, that's the way they communicated since they weren't allowed to talk to each other. They communicated through singing. And that's how everybody would know what's going on, everybody in their group. If there was a message that needed to be given, if they needed to meet up at a certain place without everybody else knowing, it was all communicated through the spirituals. So that was a good piece of information that I enjoyed. There's several question and answers spots throughout the book. It actually says question and then under it answer. So she's very thorough about the answers. It doesn't leave you wondering, how am I going to do that? You didn't answer me all the way. It's answered fantastically. She also explains the use of the Old Testament in conjure work. She says that a lot of people don't like to use the Bible in there anymore, but that's the way it was. If you're actually doing hoodoo work or conjure work from back in the day. If you're doing it still the old style way, the Old Testament must be used in the rituals. She gives a recipe for a bunch of different washes. So if you want to cleanse yourself or cleanse your floors or cleanse after, if you think spirits are there, just different kinds, gives you the recipes for them, step by step how to do it. You're not going to wonder what to do. It's all there. She speaks on different altars. She talks about how all of the work used to be done back in the day in the kitchen. They didn't have just altars everywhere. So a lot of people will say, well, I can't do conjure work or witchcraft work or any of the workings because I don't have these tools or I don't have an altar space. They had nothing back in the day. They sat at the kitchen table. They would do things out in the yard, set up. Everything they got was from nature. They didn't have anything. So that should let you know you can do anything. You don't have to go buy things. It's all around you. You can find it. She also talked about colors of the candles, colors of altar cloths, what each one of them mean. So if you're wondering about that or curious about that, all the answers are in this book. She talked about one thing I'd never heard about, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, but it's bibliomancy. It's divining using the Bible. I had never heard of that before, so I got a lesson on that. If you get the book, you'll hear about it too. So I won't go in and tell all her secrets out of the book. She does have a section in there how to call the spirits. She has a section in there about bone reading, which is very traditional in conjure and hoodoo and folk magic. That was interesting to me. I have never worked with the bones before. Might give that a try. It was a pretty cool thing. She talks a lot all the way through the book about protection, different ways to protect yourself when you do this work. There's a big section on the historical part of this. Let's see. That's what it was. She tells the different contributions of different slaves and different big figures throughout history what their contributions were to the work of Conjure. She talked, there's such as like Harriet Tubman. I can't even talk today. I got a cold from this weather changing here in Texas. You know, we have crazy weather here. Last week, with all the hurricanes and all that, it was 70 degrees here in Texas. Doesn't happen in September here. This week, we're 90 degrees today. So I'm kind of suffering a little bit. But anyway, back onto this. Some of the favorite things that she mentioned in there. How to use a crab. You take the claw off and you'll load the crab claw with different herbs. There's a fly after me. With different herbs and oils and things like that. And you can do workings with that. Working with the crab claw makes things move. Get them out of your life. Move away. Get your enemies far away from you. So I like that little tidbit in there. She also talks about using the fishing hook. If you want to draw things to you, you use the fishing hook, and she tells you how to do that in there. One of my other favorite parts in there, y'all already know, I love to go to the graveyards. Love it. Ever since I was a little kid, everybody would go on trips, and everybody else would be saying, oh, look at that building, or oh, look at the old cars, and I'd be saying, oh, there's a cemetery. I've got to see what's going on there. I love it. So when she spoke about the cemeteries, that really piqued my interest. I always, when I go, I'm always at peace when I go. It's a peaceful place to me. I've never been afraid to go. I always take change with me. I'll leave offerings of silver money on whatever family members I go to visit as a sign of respect, and also as a sign that I've been there. But she talks about leaving change when you go into the cemetery and you go through the gate and you cross the threshold. I can't even talk. When you cross over into the cemetery, you're supposed to drop change. You're dropping that change for the gatekeeper. The gatekeeper's a spirit that's going to keep you safe while you're in there. And when you come out, you got to pay again. That way he or she, whoever the gatekeeper is, keeps the spirits from following you home. So you betcha now, I'm going to bring some extra change to drop off at that gate. Didn't know about that. She also did talk about, for protection, putting bay leaves in the soles of your shoes. And also sulfur in each shoe. It keeps the spirits from attaching to you. So, all good information. Things I had never heard of before. That's not how I usually work when I go into the cemetery. But things now I'll think about. Maybe add a little bit in, maybe not. I think my practice has been pretty good so far. Got a good track record. I usually anoint with some oils and do some protection things of my own. But like I said, I've never had a fear of it. She does talk about collecting graveyard dirt. That's something I don't do. And if you do it, that's great. I don't do it because I follow a lot of the Native American traditions, and the graveyards are sacred to me, and I don't disturb, anything when I go in. But a lot of people, that is their culture, and that's how they do, and that's great, and it's fascinating to me to read about it and to hear other people do their videos on it. So, as many of y'all have said, and I have said before, whatever works for you, whatever's part of your culture, is what you should do, and I respect that. So I just want to say that. I don't want to get any hate mail on that. I know a lot of you do collect graveyard dirt, and as I said, that's a fascinating piece of information. But also in here she talks about other places to collect dirt. She talks about collecting dirt on the crossroads and the significance behind that. She talks about if you have any issues with law or police or whatever, and you want to do some workings with that to collect dirt at the police station or the courthouse. She also talked, where else did she say? Oh, hospitals, you can collect there. She tells why. There were several other places that I wouldn't have thought of that you can collect dirt and the reasons behind and the workings for them. So they're all in this book. One thing that she did talk about that I laughed so hard, I cannot even tell you this. I'm not even going to repeat the story, but I will tell you that it has to do with getting rid of somebody, getting them out of your life totally, and it's basically called Flushing Them Down the Crapper. So you can read it in the book. She'll explain exactly how you do that. That's worth the $15 the book was just to read that part of the story. Hilarious. Best part of my night when I was reading that book. I could not stop laughing. Cracked me up. Hilarious. It's probably not supposed to be funny, but it was funny to me. So let's see what else is on here. She does have a big section on here on herbs and roots and what they're used for and how to use them. Very specifically how to use them on different things. She had a section that I haven't seen in a lot of the books about trees and what parts of the trees are good, which trees are good. She talks about peach trees, oak trees, pine trees, I think was in there, several different trees, and the uses for them in hoodoo and root work. Let me see. She talks about gathering water, where you can gather the water from, what work you can do with that water. That was pretty fascinating. Different tools, just all kinds of things you wouldn't think of and stuff. So let me see. Am I missing anything? I probably am. I'm probably not telling you it all, but that's why you're going to buy this book. Let me tell you, you want to buy this book. Fantastic. And I don't say that about all of them. I've read different books, and I'm like, what am I reading here? Or what are they talking about? This lady knows what she's talking about. Fantastic. So, if you want any more book reviews from me, give me a comment. Tell me what you want me to read. Tell me what you want me to look up. I am an avid reader. I have nothing but time these days to sit here and read. I read them from cover to cover. I make notes on it, and I won't give you a review if I haven't read the whole book all the way through. So, if you like this video, give me a like, give me a comment. Hit the little bell so you know if I'm going to do another video. I think maybe tonight I might tell another story or two. Got all of this weather going on, changing from hot to cold, which is giving me all kinds of fits. So maybe in the next day or two I'll probably be too hoarse to talk. So I might get a few of them in today. You see the next one, and I'm still wearing this Sea Pony shirt. You know I got some videos in today. So anyway, I hope y'all get the book if you're interested, and hope you have a great night, and we'll talk to you in the next one. Blessed be, y'all.